Right, welcome back. So we've got to this point, and you should be if you've got this far and it's looking like that, you're doing great. Okay, we've got obviously got a long way to go yet. We've got some lots of tools and that to discuss and stuff like that. Let's have a look. Yeah, that's looking all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock the wireframe unshaded back, clicking on that there, so I can just see what we've got. So okay then. I haven't done this pretty much up until now, in case you guys like sort of made a mistake, and then you could go into the section here for like sort of for the attribute headers and things and change stuff and that. But as you can see across the top here, these little tabs, there's a lot of them. Everything that we've done, all the different changes we've made, and like scaling and different things like that, they've created different tabs, so you've got control over stuff, and you can sort of go back in history and look at some of the things that you've done, and you can edit that on the fly, and it'll change it there, which is a great little way of doing things. But I also need you to get into the habit of sort of wiping that and resetting it. With Maya, it's essentially to do it. So you can set the shortcut key up, like I say, but I'm going to keep doing it the long way, so you get into the habit of seeing it being done. So we're going to edit, and we go delete all by type and history. And if you have a look, that has changed that now. We've only got a few things on there. We haven't got loads and loads. So it's deleted all of the history, all of the different tools we've used, and the settings we've given in those tools have all been deleted off now. So we go to modify, and we go to freeze transformations. And if you have a look on here as well, there was a lot of stuff on here that is now gone. It's all been wiped, and we've got one thing that says cylinder there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on that, and I'm going to call this one, I know it's either barrel or oil drum, whatever you want to call it. I'm not really bothered. So we'll call it drum underscore LP in capitals. Okay. So that there now is, you can see it's changed it up here as well. So that's now our drum low poly. Okay. So I think maybe the next thing we should do is maybe have a look at the cap, see if we can like model just like a basic cap that goes on the top. And I think we'll do that in low poly, and then we'll be able to take it further from there. So it just so happens, want to prepare earlier type thing. Um, let's have a look where I want to be. I want to be me. Hand it up here. There we go. So we've got. I'm not really so much bothered about what's going on the inside with this. It's more to do with this shape here. Yeah, that we've got going on. We've got like that there that's been painted red, and it's like a hex thing. And then we've got the actual cap that screws in the top. So I'm more concerned about that, and I just want you to keep it quite basic. So we're going to use this image as a sort of guide, and we're just going to like eyeball it really. Right. So the first thing we need to look at is if we're going to start off with this section here. That's how we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this octagonal. We need to basically make one of those. So let's go back into Maya. And if I go into cylinder, okay, and I create another cylinder, which is huge. So we press R and go to the middle one in R so we can scale it down without losing any of its, keep it all uniform. Obviously, we want it tiny. So press W, we'll move it up so we can get a size. We'll zoom in, let's have a look, Alt, middle mouse button to pan, and then back into R. So we want it to be quite, so I'm going to, if you see there, what I did was there, just to scale it up and down, I used the top one. So you can move that up and down. It doesn't change any of the others, just keeps it like constrained into that. So I'm going to make it about like that for now. And then I don't want to use these two, because if I use that one, it'll distort it, so Control Z. If I use that one, it distorts it, Control Z. But if you use the middle one, it'll keep it the same. So we're going to just take it down about there for now. And then W, we're going to move it down till we see it sort of disappear a bit and just bring it up. Yeah, so that's roughly, does it look like it could be the right size for something like that? Yeah, possibly. We can maybe make it just a tad bigger, just so, we can see it a bit better. Right, so we need it to be 8 sides. So I'll press W to get the move one back on. Right, we need to be 8 sides. So I think if we remember rightly, we went into one of these. Polycylinder 1, there we go. And this one had 20 sides. So we're going to give this one 8. There we go. So we've got our octagonal now. And if we flick back and have a look at that, it's probably about the right height, if I'm honest. I mean, yes, it's intersecting at the moment, but we'll deal with that. So I'll just lift it up. We'll deal with that later. I'll show you how to get that level. So yeah, I think that's about right. So what I want to do now is, so I think we'll go back and we'll look at that, and we're going to look and think, right, so what we need to work out now is how are we going to get that from an octagonal to a circle in the middle. So let's have a think. Which way do you think we should do this? So if I think we'll get rid of these on the top first. So if we right click, we're going to face, and press tab, and we rotate that round, and I delete. Right, okay. We can do this on the bottom as well. We don't need these on the bottom because you're not going to see them. Delete. Okay, so we've just got the edge, just got like the sides of it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the top edges, double click, and I'm going to press R for scale. I'm going to keep shift pressed, and I'm going to bring that in so far. I'm going to go back and look at that one. Yeah, probably a little bit more, maybe something like that. Okay, so that's sort of giving us that bit of an edge there. I'm going to right click and I'm going to press object mode. Okay, and I'm going to select the object we're working on, Control and 1, and that'll isolate so we just see that one. If I press Control and 1 again, it'll bring the other one back. So Control and 1. So we've just got that one now. And what I'm also going to do now is this edge here, I'm just going to, because we're going to bevel it. I think, are we? Yeah. Yeah, might as well. We'll bevel this one just to make it look nice. So I've double clicked on that edge. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press R for scale. And then I'm going to press Shift. And I'm just going to scale it in over just a little bit like that. So we can get a nice bevel going on the bottom of here. Okay. Right then. So how do we go about making that into a circle? There's different ways we can do it. I think the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to see if this works. We'll give it a go. If it doesn't, we'll try something different. I'm going to go for multi-cut, right? And I'm going to press Control. And once again, if I use the middle mouse button, it'll put it in the center. I'm going to go around each one of these little sections and make sure I've got it dead center. There we go. Press Q to quit. So what I've done essentially there, I've sort of like, I've subdivided each one of those. So that gives us a little bit more geometry. It'll make sense in a minute. So now, if I double click on that and I right click, Shift, there's a tool called Circularize Components. Now, if I click on that, that gives it that, you can see that, it's made it into a circle, which is perfect. And it wouldn't have looked like that if we hadn't have subdivided these. Do you see where I'm coming from? Because then it would have been like a lot less. It would have been an 8-sided affair, you know what I mean? Where now we've given it that bit extra geometry, it's made it a lot more round. So I think that'll do the job, won't it? That'll work quite well. So I can press Q. Yeah, so quite happy with that. So we've got the base bit done now then. So looking at this, it looks like, it comes up. Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of a lip there. I'm not too much bothered about that. Although, I mean, we can give it that lip if you want. So we'll go back, and what I'll do is that's already done. We've already got that selected. So I'll press W. And you can see there, we've got the move tool back on. I press Shift, and I can move that up just a little bit like that. Yeah. And then I press R, and I can scale that in a bit like that. So if we look, there, that's that little bit of a lip that goes there. So do we need to take that down a bit and a bit in? Probably, just to give it that bit extra. So we've got that edge there. So now what I want to do, I want to take it down. So I'm going to press W. I'm going to keep Shift pressed now, and I'm going to take that down a little bit. Yeah, and that's giving us the lip. But we need to have that other part coming up, which you can see that it comes up from inside. It comes up from inside that lip, and then it'll come out like that. Yeah, it might look complicated, but you'll understand it all in a minute. Right, so, yeah, so what we can do with that then is we've got that selected still, so we can press R to scale, and if we scale that in, just a little bit like that, press W, Shift, and we'll bring that up. So what we've created there, you can see, is there's a little gap. Not much of one, but there is a little gap, if I can get it right for you, down there. So that creates that little bit of a ridge, So we're going back. So that comes up, and then we need to bring it out and back down again to create the last one. Right, so that comes up, Let's have a look. If you press at any point you lose it on the screen, press F and it'll like bring it back into focus. Yeah, so let's have a look. So we've got that there. Yeah. Click back and have a look. We can maybe take that down a little bit. Yeah. And then what we'll do is that one needs to come out a little bit further. You can see there. So W. Let's get this right. Press R, Shift, and bring it out so it's just a little bit further out than that bottom one. Just by a little bit. So the yellow one, yeah, take it up there. Right, W, we're going to bring that up. R for scale and Shift, and then we're going to bring that one back in. So you can see there we created this part here. That's what we've done. Now that'll go down. It'll go in a little bit, then come up for this next part. Okay, like what we're basically repeating what we've just done there. So W now, Shift. I'm going to bring it down a bit. Press R, and then Shift. I'm going to bring that just in a little bit, and then W. I'm going to bring it up a little bit with Shift. Let's see how far we need that one to come up. Yeah, there needs to be a visible gap, so maybe it's a little bit less than that. And then we've got it's a lot thinner, this one, and smaller than the one below. So we're going to do the same thing again. So we're going to press R, Shift, and we're going to bring it out just a little bit. Maybe a bit more than that. Not quite as much as the other one. Press W, Shift, and bring that up. R, Shift, bring that one in. And then I think that's that top bit done. We just need to bring it down and fill it around, basically. So let's have a look, see where that is. So if we maybe bring that in just a little bit more. W, Shift, move it down. How far do we need that down? It needs to be quite a bit. Looking at that. Yeah, it's about there. Right then, so we're going to fill that and we're going to use the same technique as we did before. Okay, so I'm going to Alt, deselect that, right click, and I'm going to go Bridge, and that has filled them in quite nicely. I just need to check on something. So if I press Q and I go to Vertex and I select that little vertex there, it says there's one. I just needed to know that these were welded together, that there wasn't two vertexes over the top of each other. Yeah, so that looks like that's done that all right. Okay, because I was looking up here, let's see, so selected one. So in effect, we've got a basic one of these type of thing. It's not perfect, but it's going to be small enough that it won't matter. So I'm going to right click, object mode, and I'm going to control on one, and you can see there that, go back in the reference image. Yeah, and we'll look at the reference image that we've got in here to see roughly where it goes. So I would say press that, then W. Now that green one there, let you move it left and right without going up and down. So we'll put it somewhere like that. Okay. Right, so we can either eyeball this and get it so that it sits on top, which, pretty much that'll be all right. Or there is another way you can do it. Okay. So I'll show you that as well. So as you can see at the minute, whenever I select a tool, it's like dead center for this, okay? But what we can do is we can control where that pivot point is. So if I press D, you'll see that changes, right? Now if I press V and keep it pressed, but grab that little dot in the middle, you'll see it snaps to each vertex. So I've snapped it to the bottom there, so that now the pivot point is on the bottom, so I know that that's level. Okay, so if I press D again, it comes out of like moving the pivot point. So I can move that up and down and it'll move it from that point. Now that still doesn't help us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep V pressed and watch what will happen. You see, it snaps that vertex there. It'll snap level with that vertex because that's, as it's moving up and down, that's the next vertex it hits here. And then it'll snap to the next vertex, which is there, which we know is level. So if I snap that down to there and I zoom in, you can see there, it's perfect. We still see the green lines. There's no gap. So that's another way of doing it. While we've got the object, what we can do is we can go to modify and center pivot, and that'll take it back to there as well. So we've got the best of all worlds. So we've got that there, and we've got the barrel, and that's starting to look okay, isn't it? So what we need to do now is we need to name this one. So we'll call this one cap underscore LP. Okay. Hit return. So now we've got them both named. You'll find as you go on and you model more complex things that you won't actually like bother naming all the individual components and things, but you'll see that later on. And there's easier and quicker ways of doing it before, like when you're preparing it to do a bake. Okay. Um, so I think all that's left to do with this really is if I press Shift and left mouse button, we've got both of them selected, which is them there. So if I do Control and G, it creates a group. Okay, so if I double click on that, I can name it. I'm going to name this one LP for low poly, so that we know that what's in here is the low poly items. Okay, so I can press a little plus next to it and it brings it up. So there's the cap and there's the drum. So this outline is essential. Yeah, you know, you're going to use this a lot. It's got a lot of information in, and you can see when things don't like look quite right as well. Is the more you do this type of thing, you'll realize you'll spot something in there and you'll think that shouldn't be in, or why is that there, type of thing. Um, so out of habit now as well, what we'll do is we'll just grab both them and we will go to, let's have a look. There we go. Delete all by type, history, modify, freeze transformations. And obviously, you guys, you need to be saving this on a regular basis. And that is literally, if you're just saving the scene, it's save scene as, then just save it out. Yeah, we'll cover the export side of things a bit later on. Okay, then. So I think that should take us pretty much to the end of this one. And the next bit, we're going to look at how we can sort of duplicate this and make a high poly as well. And obviously, the unwrap as well. Okay, so we'll leave this one there for now.